That's a cool groove, guys. Another one I've been just working on forever, but it takes so much independence, at least for me, and my feet, my legs, just because of my back. Getting those to cooperate and playing sixteenths with one bass drum pedal. That's the hardest part for me, at least. But basically, you're just matching the drag part with your left hand with the bass drum notes. So if you think of just accenting that, just you're popping on it right with a nice accented legato note. So keeping your hand, point at 12 o'clock legato for your right, and then your left is just doing nice ghosts on each one, okay? So you just get faster and faster with it. But matching those sixteenths with your bass drum, that is just, it takes, because you have to feather the pedal the whole time. So, I mean, you can do toe ball if you approach it in like more of a doubles approach, like, da-da. But that'll make it, phrase differently instead of a consistent sixteenths, just continuing with it. But that's how I pieced it together, at least myself. You might have a different approach, totally cool. But getting those accents and then getting those drag notes matched with your bass drum, that's what takes quite a bit of accuracy and just learning how to phrase it and which parts of your body are matching, what's stacked, what's not, that kind of idea. So the way I started it was literally just you're doing that accented note, followed immediately by then starting the bass drum notes. That kind of helps to keep me anchored in when they're supposed to be placed, where they're at. But you're literally just doing kind of a triplet figure. Okay. But then approaching it with a closed stroke rather than an open stroke. And then you start to do triplets with one hand, and you're doing, so basically a four-stroke, you can think about it as a four-stroke, but you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? But in a closed-stroke manner. That's what I mean by it. So just piecing it together, and that's, I guess that's about playing tempo of what it should be at. It's a pretty rockin' pattern, it's pretty. So it's got that backbeat feel to it, and that's why you also want to accent in the right places, because if you don't accent those notes in the right place, it's not going to have that nice consistent pulse to it or that quarter note feel to it, And so the way that I put it together first was using my right hand to come back and forth between the hi-hat and the snare. So doing kind of like that kind of thing, which is a good way to start it. And it's literally, that's why I always teach my students to just, any sticking you figure out, you can figure out everything out on just a pad in your lap and with your feet too, It's just a matter of figuring out what your sticking is, not necessarily always going to the drum kit first and trying, okay, crossed and eighth note, playing patterns right away with it. As long as you figure out your sticking and you get that nice and comfortable, then you can move it anywhere you want, So as long as you know what the correct where the note values are placed, what rudiments you're using, how to approach the sticking in a methodical manner, then you can have even more fun with it, because then you'll start to understand, how it all kind of coalesces, into one pattern or one figure, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. But starting everything nice and slow and using your right hand to accent. So I'm adding, I'm added a dotted eighth tied to a 16th at the end there too. So it's a dotted eighth tied to a 16th on there. And that's kind of a cool place to put it. That kind of a thing, okay? Just playing just very simple bass drum right now with it, just so you can hear the figure. And then what you have to start doing is accenting with both hands, so accenting all of your snare notes with your left hand while also coming, down with both hands. So it depends on if you're leaving out that last little space to fit the dotted eighth tied to a 16th in there, or if you're just kind of blasting through the whole thing. So if you're doing it, that's like at my maximum limit of trying to play. Hopefully I can keep it going. that's, you know, I've gotten it faster than that, but just keeping it nice and consistent, that's really the trick with that. So accenting on the first one, and the last one. Okay, and that's playing it open stroke, right? So I'm playing it nice and slow. Then you have to start having a little bit more dexterity or independence with it. And that's coming back over with the right hand. Okay, now I'm going to play it coming down, accenting with the left, and playing the sixteenths instead of just one. Okay, so. Kind of changing the figure there too, and just have fun with it. But that's really, it's kind of a fun one, and it really gets your independence together. It really does, because you're doing quarters with this. At the same time, you're doing three stroke. You know, you're doing a triplet with your left, and you're doing ghosts, and you're doing a combination of accents with your ghosts. Then you're playing sixteenths with one bass drum pedal. Well, you could play sixteenths with two bass drum pedals, but kind of the exercise in this is the whole point is to try to get that ostinato pattern consistent. And then start playing quarters with your left foot at the same time you're playing sixteenths with your bass drum with one foot. That it's kind of a lot to put together, and I'm still working on that. But it's a really fun one, and some people have commented that they like that groove and just some of the things that have come out of it. And you can do a lot of different licks with it too. So just doing. Doing either double strokes or triplets with your left hand. So anyway, here's another one, guys. Quick little lesson video, I guess. But when you start to involve your hi-hat, it's just matching your quarters with your right hand. So you can think of it putting it together that way, where it's like your bass drum is matching with your left hand, and then your right hand is matching with your left foot or the hat. So you're doing. I started to get carried away with it. I'm like, da, 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 da. Anyway, it's kind of a fun one, guys. So hopefully you have as much fun with it as I do. It's cool. It's kind of opened up a lot of different things for me. Just kind of figuring out and having fun with it. You know, using groupings of 3 is a lot of fun. 3 and 5. Using groupings of 3 and 5. You know, it can go into a lot of different cool, you know, subdivisions and standing out, and a lot of different fills and licks and that kind of stuff. So. Again, guys, just a right, left, left, or a right, left, left, left. If you think about it as a 4-stroke. Okay, and then matching sixteenths with your bass drum pedal. Then adding the hat. And I'm trying to play it slow for you, too. That's how it would be if you're playing it slow. And, you know, and then adding the dotted eighth to it. That's where it would be phrased at. If you add the dotted eighths, I do a 16th in there. Okay, so lots of different options, different ways you can embellish it, but it's a fun one, it's a cool one, and it'll open up a lot of stuff too, and especially that control with your ghost, because it integrates so many different things, it really does, because you're practicing all sorts of different closed stroke, open stroke, accented stroke, you know, quarters with one hand while the other's doing, you know, and you can bring your right hand back and forth for your accents, or you can accent it all with your left hand. You can use it as a tom lick, you can, you know, create all sorts of different cool things out of it. kind of different things you can use with it there. Then I'll start to introduce how we can start playing that kind of thing in 7 as well, okay? That'll be another video though. So, alright guys, enjoy. I'm trying to crank out a few little lesson videos here, so we'll see how many I get done. I just like sharing the joy of the stuff, and if anybody likes you know, playing along to different things, or some of the different grooves that I'm playing, by all means, I'm more than willing to share and just share the love of drumming and the love of music. And if anybody, you know, has certain things that they're trying to figure out, or I know there was like a tom groove I did in one of my videos a couple people liked, so I just try to, you know, add some stuff that I've learned or stuff that I'm personally working on. And maybe some people will find it interesting or have fun with it. So, alright guys, happy drumming, take care, love you, bye.